Few places that have been cleared recently are Golden City, Shangri-La, Monkey Island, Oklahoma. Shangri-La meets the White Swan, as well as the private airstrips in that area. Geisha Programming House and Rooms, Easy Ride, Shebang, Cages, Big Shots, and Ketchum. Second place is Gravity Falls, Gravette. This was a gravity propulsion zone where tons of gravity was centered in an experiment in an energy wave propulsion discord systematic unit that created a time loop. And what happened is it would feel like you were underwater trying to walk through this area from one village to the other and trying to find the exit. So it was like matter itself was slowed down and it would phase in and out, and you could see it phase in and out. Say if you're driving a car, and you could see the slowing down of energy propulsion waves and scalar columnar units. And they tried to keep us in a frequency band to trap us interdimensionally there, because every dimension has a different frequency that it resonates with. So a few of the people that this was perpetrated against ellipsed the area and finally broke out of the system. This type of experiment knocked you off your balance proprioceptually and in all aspects of your system. It would have caused detrimental damage to your systems if you would have stayed in this particular time loop too long in Gravette and in this particular frequency field that was held together as a net by high ranch handlers. It created confusion, disorientation, energy zapping, and draining. So it's like you were trying to propagate yourself and jump yourself out of the feeling of quicksand or being in water. Like if you ever tried exercising in water, it's kind of hard to do that. And this is hard to explain because it was a feeling like that when you're in water, but it was also a feeling of being cemented into gravity. centerTON connected to Gravette, and it centered that ton of gravity. The utility companies were involved with this particular project. The water towers, certain markers, and there was a white truck that was out of the ordinary. It was an operations truck that was very high tech, and the lights on it would go all different directions and blink super subliminally fast when the lights went on, and there were like a high-powered type of blue and white light, and those were the only types of lights that were on this white truck that were trying to locate this boy and girl that were experimented on in these two villages. Now the east, west, north, south lines of latitude and longitude were also messed with, and what they had already mapped out, and the magnetic north, and it created a type of subset, an inversionary magnetosphere too, to try to pinpoint how to ellipse out of it onto the exit. Numbers themselves would even flip on street signs. They tried to keep this concurrently running to break the participants and keep them gridlocked. The numbers on signs were 59, 72, 49, 71. So the third place is called Club 37, West Creek, also nicknamed Westwood. 37 deaths happened on this highway purposely, and this place in particular had a building that kept changing. The building would have at first 2 chimneys, then it would have a side building attached to it that was 1 story, and then 2 stories, and then a back roof area that had additional add-ons and features, and a backwoods area with certain markers and ceremonies that had been performed there, Masonic grid work on the floor. Memory I have of this place in particular is being in the second back room chimney, talking to an old man with white hair, throwing wood into the fire, and walking around smoking a cigar in a white slip, and for some reason had on bunny slippers. And these old men that were there, the place was empty a lot of the time for years, but these old men that were in there this night were laughing at me and saying, "Don't trip, bunny rabbit." There's some drugging that went on, and a memory of being on the floor. Memories being not necessarily wiped every time in this place, but recategorized, I would say, and recalibrated to be able to go back to home base and continue in this type of programming. There were rings that were buried on this land that were insignia rings, and in a woods that connected to certain trails back in the woods, and ledgers that were also hidden in the walls before construction came in and changed it up. There's another picture of that. Okay, so I guess the other place would be the wisdom tree. And this place here, the wisdom tree, had a trail that was owned by Getty and Hugh Hefner, private land at some point, and there was a star that was a black star that would mark a trail, and rituals were done at night to take certain kids up there and promise them wealth and other things, and their name to be written on this black star that started out below this trail in a doorway view to the tree that was called the Door to Hollywood. And false promises and demonic promises of hope and riches and glory for selling yourself on this black stone before you go up into this trail and be grafted into a false tree of life. I think this was probably also part of some other continuations of Kabbalah programming itself. There was one kid, a little boy named Jonah, that was tethered into the Black Star system here. And usually if you got tethered and taken up into this system back in the day, then that would mean that you would die, because of the promises that they made on this trail never came true. This was like a jump point, kind of like Plum Island was a jump off point where dead things lived from Montauk. Well, this area and this Black Wisdom Tree was kind of the same thing. So there it is. I guess it's four disclosures.